When I did not have health insurance, it was a everyday struggle, not having the peace of mind, knowing that if something were to happen to me or my child, I was not going to be taken care of.
Before the Affordable Care Act, my oldest daughter who's going to college wouldn't have been covered by me. And how can you leave a population that is your future, from 18 to 25 without health care?
I tell people frequently that the ACA basically is keeping me alive.
My understanding about the King versus Burwell case is that it's a challenge to the subsidies that are being provided in states that do not have their own exchanges.
This new effort that they have undertaken is to invalidate the subsidy portion of the law, that subsidies are only available to people in states that have a state-run exchange, and not to people like me in North Carolina who accessed the subsidy through the federal exchange, which is just a misinterpretation as I can understand it.
It's just grasping at straws politically. To the Supreme Court, I would say I wish in one case that public opinion might be able to sway you if you could just sit down and talk to the millions of people who now have insurance through the ACA and didn't before. You would see how good this is for our country.
I would say try to walk through my shoes for one day. Understand that having affordable health care is something that everybody should have. I cannot afford it, and I am one of millions of Americans who cannot afford it. This is making it so we can afford it.
It's night and day. It is one of those things that it's hard to compare it to something else because it gives you the peace of mind to have it where you don't have to worry about, am I going to be able to afford to go to the doctor?
Having good health insurance is very important because it decreases my level of worry. It enables me to go to the doctor when I need to rather than when I can afford to.
And when this exchange is up and running, millions of people will get tax breaks to help them afford coverage, which represents the largest middle-class tax cut for health care in history. That's what this reform's about.
I first heard about the Affordable Health Care Act a few years back when our current president was in the process of getting everything rolling. I was very excited to hear about it. I didn't know that it was going to be it's almost too good to be true. For somebody like me who could not afford it before, I knew it was going to be a good thing. It turned out to be an actually really good thing for me and my family.
I was so excited when the ACA passed because even though I was employed then and had health insurance, I knew that there was maybe an outside chance at some point I would need to take advantage of it, and unfortunately I have had to.
I'm 62 years old and I've had cancer, as I mentioned, and neck surgery. And I'm quite confident if I ever stopped getting insurance before the Affordable Care Act went into effect, and I had a very difficult time getting insurance, number one. Number two, because of my age, my health insurance goes up dramatically every year. So the Affordable Care Act has made health insurance affordable to me.
Because my wife has some pre-existing conditions. There were always struggles before ACA with that particular issue. What changed when ACA came online? You just didn't have to do that anymore. That part of the questioning was gone. You said, here's my name, here's where I live, here's how old I am, and the healthcare.gov, the website, spelled everything out for you.
I lost my husband about 4 years ago, and so when he passed away, we had coverage because of one of the benefits that he left for us. And it just lasted 3 years, but when it was going to expire, the Affordable Care Act was approved, and we were just blessed with that.
I have often had problems getting good health care, and I credit the ACA with not only providing me with the continuance of care that I had gotten through PCIP, but improving on it and really looking after me in a very consistent and compassionate way. I think that was more than I expected, really. If this falls due to politics, not only will I be far more afraid of imminent death rather than this distant idea that yes, someday everybody dies, but I'm going to grieve for all the other people who could have been helped by it, who were being helped by it, and had the rug yanked from under them.
My reality is, if the Supreme Court decides that that phrase in the Affordable Care Act rules me out for a subsidy, I will go back to deciding yearly whether to sign up for a health insurance policy and monthly whether I can pay the premium, and possibly end up on the indigent care rolls where my health care will be completely at taxpayer expense instead of the way it is right now, handled between the insurance companies, me, and the healthcare provider, just like every other person in the country.
I do my best every day, and my boss doesn't offer insurance coverage to us. We're a very small firm. There's only 6 of us, and without the Affordable Care Act, I can't afford good health coverage.
If the Supreme Court rules against the ACA, I will probably go back to the condition I was in for a few months before I got the insurance under the Affordable Care Act, which was I had what I call catastrophic insurance. And so basically I would be paying for all my health care out of pocket up to at least $10,000.
What scares me the most about losing it, I remember talking to someone at a local TV station here in Florida about 2 years ago. Well, as the healthcare.gov was getting ready to come online and people were getting ready to start to sign up. And this was a news producer asked me the same thing, what's your big fear? My big fear was that we'd get into it and get it and feel comfortable, and then a politician or a group of politicians would pull the rug out from under us. And we'd be in worse shape than we were before because health insurers would try to play catch up on raising rates.
There is nothing in this act that is contrary to constitutional law, and everything in it that is positive towards maintaining a civil, healthy, and productive society, which I think most people would like to see.